In a quaint town surrounded by lush forests and sparkling rivers, there lived a young man named Thomas. Thomas was known for his incredible talent as a painter. His works were vibrant and full of life, capturing the beauty of the world in a way that moved everyone who saw them. However, Thomas had a problem: he was incredibly lazy. He spent most of his days lounging around, procrastinating, and making excuses for why he couldn't paint. Thomas always said he would start painting tomorrow. But tomorrow never came. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. His once vibrant studio gathered dust, and his unfinished canvases piled up. Friends and family tried to encourage him, but he always found a reason to put off his work. One sunny afternoon, an elderly woman named Mrs. Harper moved into the house next to Thomas. Mrs. Harper was known in the town for her wisdom and kind heart. One day, she invited Thomas over for tea. As they sipped their tea in her cozy kitchen, she asked Thomas about his painting. Thomas sighed, "I want to paint, but I just can't seem to find the motivation. I always feel like I have time, and I end up doing nothing." Mrs. Harper smiled gently and said, "Let me tell you a story. The story of the wise potter. Once upon a time, in a village much like ours, there was a wise old potter named Henry. Henry was renowned for his beautiful pottery, each piece a work of art. But like you, Thomas, he struggled with laziness and procrastination in his youth. One day, Henry decided to visit a monastery in the mountains, hoping to find some answers. The monks there were known for their discipline and dedication. Henry spoke to the head monk, who listened to his woes. The head monk took Henry to a garden filled with blooming flowers. "Do you see these flowers?" the monk asked. "They bloom because they grow each day, even when no one is watching. They don't wait for the perfect moment or the right conditions. They simply grow." Henry pondered the monk's words. He realized that his laziness was preventing him from growing. He understood that he needed to start working on his pottery every day, even if it was just a little bit at a time. Inspired, Henry returned to his village and began to work on his pottery daily. At first, it was difficult. He struggled to find motivation, but he persisted. He set a goal to create one small piece each day, no matter how he felt. Over time, his discipline grew, and his work flourished. His pottery became more beautiful than ever before, and he found joy and fulfillment in his daily efforts. Mrs. Harper looked at Thomas and said, "Thomas, the key to overcoming laziness is to start small and be consistent. Don't wait for the perfect moment or motivation. Begin with one brushstroke, one line, or one small task each day. As you build this habit, you'll find that your motivation and inspiration will grow." Thomas took Mrs. Harper's words to heart. The next day, he went to his dusty studio and picked up a brush. He told himself he would paint for just 10 minutes. Those 10 minutes turned into an hour, and before he knew it, he had completed a beautiful painting. Day by day, Thomas continued this practice. Some days were harder than others, but he persisted. Over time, he rediscovered his passion for painting and his studio once again became a place of vibrant creativity. Thomas's transformation inspired the entire town. People began to see that overcoming laziness was possible with small, consistent efforts. They started to apply this lesson to their own lives, whether it was in their work, their hobbies, or their personal goals. Moral of the story: overcoming laziness requires taking small, consistent steps towards your goals. Don't wait for the perfect moment or for motivation to strike. Start with one small action, and build upon it each day. As you develop this habit, you'll find your motivation growing, and your dreams becoming a reality. Remember, just like the flowers in the garden, growth happens through daily, consistent effort.